The Philadelphia Eagles 2026 season just got some great news about two of the team's most important players returning for the upcoming season in hopes to try to win another Super Bowl. While one of their best players' future in Philadelphia remains a mystery despite new information that the Eagles ownership wants him to return. Also, Jalen Hurts is making several offseason lists about how he is already one of the all-time great quarterbacks in NFL history, while also being the most hated player in the NFL today. So if you guys want to hear more about these breaking news stories, stick around after the intro. Welcome back to the Kevin Woodman Show. In today's video, I'm first going to start off by talking about two players that were feared to potentially go into early retirement at the start of the 2026 NFL offseason, but have reversed course and have decided to return to the Philadelphia Eagles for at least one more season. But before I do, as always, if you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to be a subscriber, hit the like button, let me know in the comment section. Other than that, let's get right into the video. Now, the Eagles' offensive line is typically one of the strengths of their team every single year, and when this last year ended, even though the Eagles really didn't have too great of a season when it came to their offensive line production, the offensive line took several serious hits both on and off the field with the unexpected departure of Jeff Stoutland and Stoutland University. But it got much worse after he left, as the Eagles were still seen to have a lot of talent across the offensive line. But then out of nowhere, we started seeing retirement stories about Lane Johnson, who was somewhat expected based off the fact that he really only said he was going to play 2 more seasons just last year. But since his season ended prematurely with a very serious injury, a lot of people thought that he may forgo his final season that he committed to, which would be the upcoming 2026 season, and potentially retire early, leaving the Eagles in a very precarious position at the right tackle spot, as he's one of the most important offensive tackles in the entire league, especially at the position that he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, where he's often left on an island to take on the team's best pass rusher on edge, and has done so for more than a decade, typically shutting down the team's best opposing pass rusher with little to no help, which would be a very difficult thing to replace, especially when you consider how good he was still playing at the level that he was still playing just last year. Well, today news came out that he will be in fact returning for at least one more season, which I gotta be honest, when I heard that Jeff Stoutland was leaving the team, that I really thought that that could accelerate his retirement, because he's been with Jeff Stoutland pretty much his entire career. And now that Jeff Stoutland is gone and they've brought in a new run game coordinator in Ryan Mahaffey, and also Sean Mannion, who's the new offensive coordinator, both from Green Bay, you're going to have to assume that he's going to have to learn a whole new system when it comes to the offense, when it comes to the run blocking scheme and things like that. And that may have required a little bit of convincing based on the fact that he really only plans to play one more year. At least he said he only plans to play one more year. There may be potential that he could come back for another season after this, depending on how it goes. But ultimately, it's going to be something where we're going to have to see how this season works out. And I think that the Eagles really have to put some heavy draft capital into the right tackle position, because there's not a lot of right tackles across the league, or tackles in the entire NFL that get left on an island and are asked to do as much as Lane Johnson has been over the last decade of his career. And it's something that's going to be hard enough to replace, but you have to get somebody in the building that can potentially replace that guy, because there really isn't one on the roster right now. We saw that last year with Fred Johnson. He had his moments, but ultimately he did not look good. The depth of the Eagles offensive line in general was a huge issue last year. Every single time we saw Matt Pryor on the field, it was always a disaster, as he was still one of the best backups that they had. So they really have to reinvest in the offensive line for both depth in the upcoming season, but also to eventually replace some of the players that they will be losing, because there are guys in the building like we saw last year, like Tyler Steen, who did play at right guard for the entire season, but he did not look nearly as good or as polished or capable of taking over one of the most important positions on the entire team at right tackle. As we've seen a lot of success from the Eagles since the 21st century, all based around the idea that they have always had great bookend tackles. Since Andy Reid came here at the turn of the 21st century, it's been Trey Thomas, John Runyon, then it became Jason Peters and Lane Johnson, and now it's Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. And they're going to have to find somebody to replace Lane Johnson so they can maintain those great bookends that have led to so much success over the course of the Eagles' recent history since the turn of the 21st century. Now, after this announcement was made, a lot of people pointed to the fact that Landon Dickerson out of nowhere was mentioned in early retirement rumors after a very injury-riddled season where we saw him go down on live TV in the Eagles' only open practice, where he suffered an injury that a lot of people thought was going to be season-ending, but he ultimately didn't miss any games, played the entire season, obviously at a much lesser standard than he's used to. And based off of that fact, and based off of all the injuries that he's suffered over his short career so far, there was a lot of rumors saying that he was going to retire as well. And people were bringing that up the second that they heard that Lane Johnson was coming back, that Landon Dickerson was still out there. Well, a couple hours later, it was reported that Landon Dickerson will in fact be returning as well. Now, I know that the Eagles offensive line is a very tight-knit group. I don't know if Lane Johnson coming back contributed to Landon Dickerson's decision, but this is something that where you see, you know, there's so much potential on the Eagles offensive line. Even though they didn't have a very good year last year, there was a lot of injuries that really played its part. And Landon Dickerson, I think if he can just get healthy and get back to what he was prior, that this offensive line will be a lot better. And the same thing goes for Cam Jurgens, who also was suffering from serious back injury problems last year, to the point where it was recently reported that he went down to Colombia for an entire week to get some stem cells put into his back to try to basically, I'm not sure what the treatment would necessarily do, but basically to help improve whatever his situation is with his back, which is something that we saw even in the 2024 season when they won the Super Bowl, that he was having injury issues late into the season. Well, it seems to be lingering to the point where he's now putting at least some of his money into trying to restore his body, which is a good thing considering that, you know, obviously we've seen a lot of other athletes go through treatments like this. I remember Kobe Bryant used to do this on his knee, and it's not necessarily a good thing that he has to have this done, this procedure done, but it is a good thing that he is taking steps to try to get healthy, as I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to three of the Eagles' four best linemen, when it comes to Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, and Lane Johnson. If these guys can just get healthy, get away from the sport, and recuperate their bodies, I would imagine that the Eagles' offensive line could return to a similar form that we're accustomed to in Philadelphia as in being one of the best offensive lines in the league, because they do have the talent there. Then at that point, it's just going to become more about the new offensive line coach and to see what he can get out of these guys. Now, that story of Landon Dickerson returning was reported on by Derek Gunn, an Eagles insider, and Derek Gunn also has been reporting that the Eagles want to have A.J. Brown back, as that's something that Howie Roseman even said in the season-ending press conference, that they want to have A.J. Brown back as well. But ultimately, wanting A.J. Brown back doesn't necessarily guarantee it, as he could just pull a full diva move and say that he doesn't want to play for the Eagles until they trade him, although that wasn't necessarily the image that he portrayed when he was on Micah Parsons' live stage podcast at the Super Bowl, where it sounded like he was invested in coming back.
When I got to Philly, man, Philly welcomed me with open arms. You know, that's home, man, and I love them. You know, I love the support. I love the accountability. I love the everything else that they do. It just, Philly is Philly. You have to be there to understand. You from there, so you understand. Like, you wanted to be an Eagle at one point.
Yo, we could get into that. Hold on.
But ultimately, the numbers really support that as well. It's going to be very difficult to basically get rid of A.J. Brown based off of the amount of money that it would cost the Eagles to do that, based on the fact that he signed such a massive contract. Ultimately, I just don't see it happening. Now, something that I do believe when it comes to the A.J. Brown rumors is that he's not necessarily as tight with Jalen Hurts as he was in the past. We could see this in the Super Bowl interactions between him and A.J. Brown.
She about to sing, but...
Proud of you, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Proud of you, too.
All the ups and downs, bro.
It comes with it, man. It's a part of the game, and that's life.
Compared to the Super Bowl interactions between Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith.
I love you, boy.
Love you, too, dog.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, too, man.
Way to keep this going, man.
I got you, dog.
Hey, man, this ain't our last time at this, man.
We got some catching up to do, dog.
For sure.
Hey, it's been a ride, huh?
For sure, man.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride, dog.
They were just a completely different level of just warmth and connection, but I do think that they're still able to work together. Which brings me to the last story of this video, which is Jalen Hurts getting ranked inside of Bleacher Report's top 99 quarterbacks in NFL history, as he was rated as number 75, which really isn't that bad considering that he still has a long way to play, still has a long way to go, but he's still getting recognition as a top 100 quarterback or top 99 quarterback of all time. while also getting recognition as being the most hated player in the NFL. For what reason, I don't really know. I don't really understand why he's hated. I think it has to do with, number one, is success. People don't really like when one, especially when it's not their team, but when somebody is consistently successful. Like, I remember hating Tom Brady just based on the fact that he won all the time. There's a lot of people that hate LeBron James just based on the fact that he wins all the time. So I do think there's something that plays into that. But the fact that he's the most hated player in the NFL really doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But you guys would have to let me know in the comment section, because I don't necessarily see it. I think Jalen Hurts is an amazing player that doesn't get enough respect that he deserves. But I'm going to end the video there. I've put out more videos like this recently, so if you guys want to check that out, how to pop it on my screen, just click the links. And until next time, thanks for watching.